Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Safari, new for 2017, feathered Tyrannosaurus Rex. This dinosaur is available on Dan's Dinosaurs. For the latest and greatest in dinosaur and prehistoric collectibles, visit Dan's Dinosaurs. So as you can see, this comes wrapped in a little plastic baggie. Now I gotta tell you a little bit about my purchasing of this figure. I don't normally buy Safari, I don't. The only thing that I've bought from them was that Ammonite that we looked at last year, and I really liked it, I thought it was great. But then they released some photos of their feathered T-Rex for 2017, and I was pretty awestruck with what I was seeing, so I had to have it, I had to get it. And I'm really glad that I did, because this is going to be something new. I'm a huge fan of scientifically accurate dinosaurs. And of course, it's most likely that T-Rex was covered in feathers like this. So I knew this was going to be very, very cool and would make a really great display piece. I went ahead and ordered it. And again, comes in a plastic baggie. You can see that there's a little plastic tray to keep his legs from warping. And then there's also a little tag right there from Safari. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this unwrapped out of his baggie, and then we'll take a closer look at feathered T-Rex. Okay, so here is the feathered T-Rex out of the baggie, and it's a really nice looking dinosaur. I mean, he does look full of plumage and feathers, and he looks a little chunky, and it's really quite great because last year Collect Day released their own feathered T-Rex, and I really liked it. I reviewed it, but it had a little bit of a weird kind of look to it too. This actually looks so much better to me, and we'll compare them in just a little bit, but for now, here we have the feathered T-Rex by Safari. It's got a fantastic sculpt. It looks to me like what a feathered T-Rex should look like when I think in my imagination as to what a feathered T-Rex might have been. I mean, it still looks a little bit menacing. I wouldn't want to encounter this walking around the jungle 65 million years ago. Nah, let's not have any of that. But it also has a sort of realism to it so that it doesn't look like terrifyingly scary or too monstrous or anything. It still looks like something that is very plausible, and I rather like that. The coloration on this thing just looks really, really good. He's got a long, heavy tail, and it looks really good. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing here so far. I'll go ahead and give you a close-up here of the feathered T-Rex. Now, right off the bat, I do see a couple of paint scuffs. You can see them right above his eye. There's two of them right there, which is kind of annoying. I don't know if I'm going to try and get it replaced, or I mean, it's one of those things. There's just so much texturing and so much going on here that, in transit and whatnot, stuff's bound to get messed up, I suppose. It's unfortunate, but I mean, I guess that's not too unexpected. It's not perfectly smooth, in which case I wouldn't expect that. But I mean, you can see there's a lot of feathers, there's a lot of ridges, and there's a lot of down and feathery goodness going on here. So, it's not terribly bad. I did notice a couple of them on the other side too. You can see there's a couple right there. I'm just going to ignore it for now and just focus on how awesome this thing is because, I mean, just look at this thing. I mean, it's got a very, very nice head sculpt. I absolutely love the way they did the feathers at the back of the head and on the neck. I love that. I mean, they're sculpted very beautifully, and they're also painted beautifully. You can see that the front of the face is exposed, so to speak. There's no feathers on that. So, I mean, it does look like a typical T-Rex. I love the detail. I love the texturing on there. You can see he's got a couple of battle marks there, a couple of scars there on his face, and that's a really nice little detail. The eyes look really good, too. They're basically yellow with a little black dot, and it just looks really great. Looking at it from the front, he does have binocular vision, which is awesome because that's something that toy companies often don't get quite right on dinosaurs. So, I mean, that's definitely there, and that's really, really cool. Nostrils look great. I really love the scales and the detail here on his face. I mean, that just looks really nice from the other side, too. It's just a great looking piece. The teeth are a little bit messy in terms of paint. You can see that the paint's kind of a little bit all over the place. So that could definitely be better, especially here in the front. You can see that one tooth right there is just missing some paint or something. So that could be a lot better, but I guess it could also be worse. It's not like you're paying for a high-end collectible or anything with these. They're very nice, very accurate dinosaur toys. And, just one of those things that comes with the territory. There's going to be imperfections from time to time. He also has more scars on that side of his face. Inside, you can see the mouth is pretty nicely detailed in there. There is some sculpt work going on. You can see the tongue is very nicely textured. And you can even see the back of his throat. How cool is that? And the inside of the mouth is basically just pink. And the rest of the coloration, like I said, is very nicely done. You basically get more of a beige gray sort of thing. And then some purple here on these feathers on his head and neck. And that basically switches more into this sort of a reddish, orangey sort of color down here. And that has a nice gradient to it as it transforms into this more orangey sort of color here at the legs and at the bottom of the dinosaur and along the bottom of the tail. There's also some stripes, and those are also very nicely blended. So you're not seeing any jagged lines or any really sharp coloring that makes it look like a stencil or anything like that. It is very nicely done. And the anatomy of the rest of the dinosaur is also really great too. Look at those little stubby arms. They're really nice and small, and that's how they should be. A lot of the time we see them just too big, so I'm glad they got that right. Nice feathering on there. The legs look very nice, good strong legs, and the toes right there. Nice scale work in here. The nails look great. Claws look great. Just all around, it's a really nice looking piece. I mean, it truly is. Looking at the underside here, lots of nice feathering going on down here, and that just looks really, really good. You can see a little bit of an exposed spot down here. This kind of reminds me of like a dog, how, they have fur pretty much all over their bodies except for under their bellies. And that's kind of funny how they did that. You have this bone that's sticking out down here and covered in flesh, and, that gives it the nice heft that it has to its size. So that's really great. And again, the tail is very nice and long. It looks hefty. And it looks pretty meaty. I mean, it's just a really nice looking tail. And I really like the sculpt work on here for the feathers, and the paint work again. It's just magnificent. Really nicely done. There's even a splattering of white on the bottom, as you can see there. And it's just very nice touch. Even the bottom of the feet as well are nicely sculpted, nicely detailed. So all in all, it's a really great looking piece. I'm really happy with what Safari has done with this. And as you can see, it also balances very well. So I'm not having any issues getting it to balance at this point in time. The tail's nicely off the ground. It looks like it's kind of in a strolling sort of pose. Maybe it saw something and that's why it's roaring, opening its mouth. I don't know, but I can tell you this looks great. It looks very scientifically accurate, and I'm really happy to have it. So now let's move on to some comparisons. Here's the Safari Feathered T-Rex along with the Papo Running T-Rex. That is the Rainbow Rex repaint that was released last year. And these guys appear to be roughly in scale with one another. The Papo version seems a little taller, slightly longer, but the proportions are a lot different. It's a lot lankier, and obviously not quite as scientifically accurate. Here is Collecte's version of the Feathered T-Rex released last year, and it's still a nice looking model, but like the Papo, it is very lanky. It's got those really skinny legs, a really long narrow tail. It does look to be somewhat in scale with the Safari version, but the detail isn't as nice, the paint work isn't as nice, and as much as I do like the Collecte version for just being a fun and interesting take on a T-Rex, I gotta say I'm really liking the Safari version a lot more. Now, as far as size goes, for the height, you're going to be looking at about 5.5 inches. The length of this guy is going to be right at about 11.5 inches. And then for the width, we're looking at about a good 3.5 to 4 inches. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Safari new for 2017 Feathered Tyrannosaurus Rex. All in all, I am very, very happy with the way that this turned out. It's nice to see that these companies are trying to produce scientifically accurate dinosaurs. And, we're just getting into the beginnings of feathered T-Rexes. So first Collecte, now Safari doing one. It's really cool to see that. As much as I like the pop culture T-Rex that I grew up with as a kid, I am really happy to see accurate T-Rexes. And this is just a stunning piece from top to bottom. Sculpt is fantastic. The detail and texturing looks dramatic. It looks organic. And I'm really happy with all of those little details that this thing has. I mean, it's basically as good as what you would expect from anything that Papo would do in terms of detail. And so is the paint. I mean, the paint, I really like the color scheme, this nice, deeper a red-orange sort of look to it. Mixed with all those elements, of course, the different coloring at the head, the feet, the underbelly. It all just makes for a really beautiful figure. If you're a fan of Tyrannosaurus Rex, I mean, after all, it is pretty much the most famous dinosaur out there, or you love these scientifically accurate dinosaurs, then you know this is definitely one that you need to add to your collection. Highly recommend it to you. It's a beautiful piece. Go out and get it. Alright my friends, if you've enjoyed this video, then do give us a like, do subscribe, let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and as always, I would like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time my friends, bye bye!